Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today's video we will be talking about the Sicilian defense. Like I've mentioned before, the Sicilian defense is one of the most heavily theoretical openings in chess. Has been quite around for at least 200, 300 years, uh, and has been the most deeply studied openings, the most intricate, and the most interesting, I have to say. Um, the Sicilian is broken down into three big variations, which have their own sub-variations with their own sidelines and mini variations. That's how I like to call them. Which is not many openings do that. Not many openings have that ability. Uh, anyway, so we will be breaking down this six-parter video or seven-parter, depends how I do it, into a couple of videos. First, we're going to talk about the Open Sicilian and what to do against them. And then the next one's going to be talking about the Closed Sicilian, the Open Sicilian, the Battler attack, the Wing Gambits, and of course, Venketo systems, or what to do against Total BS. So, the first Sicilian I'm going to be talking about today, let's flip the board because the Sicilian is an opening with black. We'll be talking about the Open Sicilian, which is Knight of 3 after e4, c5. In the Open Sicilian, White has the idea of pushing d4, putting the knight here, developing this knight, bringing this bishop out, and deciding which way to castle, preferably going to the king side. But if they go to the queen side, then that means the game is going to be aggressive. So, in this position, you've got three options. You can play d6, which leads to the dragon, to the knight earth, accelerated dragon, or you can even play this, which is I do not recommend. You can play knight c6 system, which is the old Sicilian variations, or you're gonna play what I play and what we're gonna learn in this video as a system, e6. This is the French variation, and specifically, I've used this quite a lot, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of depth after a couple moves. White will continue his plan with d4, you will take, they will take, and you're gonna play a6. This is the Khan variation of Sicilian defense, and the Khan Sicilian is the easiest Sicilian to play with black, the most positional, I would say, and the one that scores the most for black. It is very beginner friendly and has very simple ideas. Let's hit it with a reset so I can just so again, knight of 3, e6, like this. Here, you take, they take, and a6. I've used the Sicilian both over the board and online in both Blitz, Bullet, Rapid, Classical, you name it. I've used the Sicilian quite a lot. And in fact, when I play like some different Sicilians, I like to incorporate the idea of the Khan into my games. And we'll see that later. So, in this position, there are three options White can choose. And all three of them, I mean, only two of them are probably going to be the exact same, sort of, but not quite. And one of them might need a little bit of studying, like just a tiny little bit to know the moves and what to do in the plans. Now, we're going to be starting with the first variation. But first, before we do that, I'm going to have to explain to you the ideas of the Khan. So, in the Khan Sicilian, what you're trying to do is you're gonna go with your queen here, and the whole point of putting pieces pointing directly on e5 is you're trying to reinforce against the e5 push, which is what White is aiming for in the Khan. For example, developing the pieces, you're going to play d6, again reinforcing against the e5 push. They cannot do that because it's a free pawn. And then they will most likely develop another piece. Then you're going to go either knight f6 or knight bd7. Both are really good moves. I prefer playing knight bd7 to further reinforce against e5. f4 happens, again, you just continue. This cannot happen because it's just a free pawn. And then they can play myriad of things, but most likely they will develop their queen or castle. You will develop your bishop. They will castle whichever way they want. You can either castle right away or play b5 with the intention of developing the bishop like this. And you will castle, and this is the setup that you're aiming for. The whole point of the Khan setup with a6 is to prevent the knights from moving into your position, harassing your queen, because you put your queen in an interesting spot. and you're gonna in the future you're gonna move this rook here and then move this rook here, and you're gonna play on with the semi-open c file. You reinforce against the e5 push, and so on and so on. Sometimes you can even, for example, plant your knight here. The plans in the Sicilian on the Khan are very, very simple, and in fact, you can just do this and you're fine. In this case, white is losing because of this move, and yeah, white can mess up, let me tell you. Let's get on with the first variation, and probably the most common. Again, let's revise the moves again. E4, C5, knight 3, E6, D4 takes A6. The most common variation by far and the easiest to play against is the move knight C3. This is the knight variation and the most popular way to play against the Khan. Unfortunately, it's not the most correct way to play against the Khan. So, what you want to do if knight C3 ever happens is you're just going to move your queen like this. I know the engine might not like it, but the engine in the Sicilian and move 5, you should probably not trust it. Once you've developed your pieces or made a couple blunders, yeah, that's when you trust the engine. Okay, if I asked you what's a very logical move and reply for white, you would probably say like developing the bishop, and you would be correct. That is literally one of the most logical replies. You will play d6 again, like we said in the introduction, to reinforce against the e5 push. Another logical move here for white is to develop another piece. Knight bd7. F4 won't always happen in your game. Some people get terrified. They just castle straight away. You don't care. You're continuing your setup. Again, they cannot go e5 because we're reinforcing against that. Now f4 is kind of possible because you're trying to get space. You will not care. Again, e5 is still not possible. Another logical move is they just develop their queen. In this case, this is very strong, so that's why they need to keep their queen on this diagonal. Now again, you can either castle straight away, or you can be patient and just develop. And this is how your setup is gonna look like. This is how exactly your setup is gonna look like. You're just gonna castle. You'll bring their rooks to the party. You'll bring your rook to the party, and you're just gonna be chilling. That's the whole point of the Khan. You're just gonna have this exact system for the duration of the game, and e5 is just not possible. Now, if they go crazy with a move like g4 here, you should be prepared with a move like h6, and if they still go crazy, they take, and then you just hop in with your knights, and here, and then you just plant your knight like this, and you've got a sizable advantage, because you will just chomp away at the bishop pair. For example, go here, you're going to grab this bishop straight away. You can even reroute the bishop like this. This is one of the moves you're going to look at into later. However, if you're still scared of the queen, you can always just go queen c5 here, develop your queen on this active square, and you're also attacking the knight, so they will have to defend it in any way possible. They might defend like this. Again, bishop d8, the reason why the engine is recommending it is because it's one of the moves that you play on the Khan. Not very early, but the whole point is you're rerouting your bishop either to c7 or b6. That is the whole point. Most of the time you're going to reroute it to c7 because you're trying to, again, reinforce against the push, and your queen will just do a little bit of bullying. So the bishop is actually taking the role of the queen, if you want it. And then if they, do this, you just go back with your queen, and you're just going to... And in this case, they have this. You just take it. That's whatever. It's like 2 pawns for a knight. Whatever. It's sort of light. Okay. So, again, let's see that, again, we saw knight c3, we saw queen c7, bishop d3, d6, bishop e3. What if they straight up just, instead of going bishop d3, just develop their bishop? I've seen that move a countless of times on Bullet and Blitz. The people don't like to go with theory. You will remain unfazed, and you will continue playing your stuff. I know what the line is. I know the line is... Hold up, let me find it. I know the line is this. Like, something like this. Not this one. This. I know this is the main line of the Khan. But most people will just do this, and then you're like, oh, what do I do here? And they're not going to play the theory move, which is this, and what I expected in my games. No. That's why I recommend you playing queen c7. And then, let's say they just develop their bishop literally anywhere. you will just go d6. You don't care about the dark square bishop because it's gonna come out eventually. Don't you worry. They develop, let's say, they just castle in this position. They can do a myriad of things, but your setup will just remain the same, and you won't have to study a billions amounts of theory. Because that's about the con. The con is not about studying theory, it's about remembering what to do against d5, and what to do against literally uh, the same thing against all of white's responses. Of course, we can get to the weird ones later. Again, in this position, if I asked you what to play, you would either develop this knight or develop this knight. And this knight is more preferable by me. And then they'll probably just like develop. Like I said, it doesn't matter what white does. Unless it's threatening one of our pieces, it doesn't matter. Now, sometimes in the con, let's go back to this position here, 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 and develop the knight. Sometimes they might do stuff like this. They might be defended with their queen. They might also not. What you want to do is, again, bishop e7, don't be scared. And after they play literally anything else, like defending the bishop, you can either castle or ask the bishop a question. Most likely they will retreat. But if they take you, then they've lost the bishop pair for absolute no reason. And now they need to just go backwards, and yeah, they're just losing a little bit of the thread here. So don't be scared of bishop to g6, bishop to g5, I'm sorry, because it is just not the greatest move to be scared of. There's moves like a4 somewhere around here. There's like a... If the eval bar doesn't crash on me, that is. I think it just crashed, yeah. In some cases, white might just play a4 like this. If you want a weapon against like a4 to stop you from playing b5, you've got the option of just going b6 here. You've got that option too. They cannot do this because you just take the knight. So instead, they're just gonna, again, doing their own things. And you're just gonna put your bishop here, and you're gonna play like one of the other variations we're gonna look at later, the Maroxa bind, which is one of the most challenging ways to play against the Open Sicilian. We're gonna look at that at the end, so I can keep your attention span. Anyway, let's go on to the second variation, which is the modern approach. So we saw the knight variation and what to do against it. Well, what if they play the modern? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong bishop. What if they play the modern variation? The modern variation is it can transpose back to the knight variation. It can just continue in the modern variation. In my opinion, they're the exact same. I'm not joking. You just go queen c7. I know it says +1, but like I said, move 5 on the Sicilian. Engines will always prefer white because of, their development. But trust me, in games like 1500, 1600, and probably even 2000, the engine won't matter at all. In this case, it can transpose back to the knight variation. Like I told you, it is the exact same thing, but it will most likely not, and it will just continue like this. If I ask you what the move here is, you're gonna say d6, of course. Now knight c3 doesn't transpose to the knight variation, but it's probably the exact same thing in the exact same structure. Knight bd7, castles, and knight f6, and it's literally the exact same thing, but different. And just here... Oh, sorry, that was the explorer. Another blooper. Huh. Again, this cannot be possible. And again, if a4 happens, you've got b6 and flanking the bishop like this. That is the queen, not the bishop. Like this, and if they do this, they lose the queen, so they're not gonna do that. They're not that stupid, so they will bring probably their rooks to the party. You will castle, and g4 can happen. If g4 happens, you probably should strike back at the center, like this. If they do this, then you will just reroute their knights. And if they ever continue some sort of kingside attack, a move like g6 here, despite looking very weak, it actually cannot be quite exploited. And if a move like this happens, which is horrible, you will just take this pawn. And if they keep on munching, you're just gonna take, not in this way, because the rook will strap down and kill you. This way, and despite looking very, very awful, you can just sack the rook here completely. Because if they take you, then you will just go check here, and you will take this bishop, and you've got 2 pieces for the rook, which is awesome. And if they ever sacrifice their bishop like this, you will just take this knight. They keep sacking, you will just take like this, and queen trade, and this is what an endgame might look like. And you've got 2 pieces for the rook. And despite people saying that in the endgame, the person who has the rook and the person who has the 2 pieces, the person with the 2 pieces, their value goes down the less pieces are on the board. In this case, you're actually up a knight. Yes, you are up a knight for a pawn. Which, yeah, you've got 4 pieces. He's got 2. What are you afraid of? Now, in con positions, it doesn't matter which of the 2 they play. Uh, in con positions, which are very, very transposable, it is per se, they will most likely, well, not most likely, they will rarely, but they can, in fact, after developing their pieces and going here, and I played the wrong variation, of course, because I'm stupid. This is the modern, I apologize. And here, and you just develop like normally, and they just develop like this, and you will just go here and here. They will go long side. This is possible to happen. They will just go long side. Okay, what to do if they go long side? Your plan remains the exact same, because you haven't yet committed your king. If they go on a king side attack, they won't hit your king. So sometimes in the con, very rarely, you can stay on the center. However, it's not quite recommended. I've done it in the blitz games. I have been punished for it, but not by, like, instantly. However, you can still stay on the center for quite a little bit. You will just develop some sort of queenside attack by, getting your pieces out. And they will do the same. They will go kingside, and you will develop your pieces. The reason why the engine is not recommending like g4 in this position is because, first of all, it hangs this pawn. h3 is kind of slow. Now, if you castle, it's most likely going to be recommending this in a couple of moves after you've taken care of this knight venture, which threatens 3 different things at the same time. And yeah, eventually there's going to be some brutal attacks. However, if you know what to do, you should be light. And again, if they do not go alongside, which in most games they do not, but if they, do go alongside, then you should be prepared for a opposite side attack. Okay, so summarize the modern variation, pretty much the same as the other one we looked at, and yeah, now let's go to the third and final variation, and the one you might face the least, but it's the most combative. Alright, and again, we got, the standard moves, e6, here, takes, here. What if they don't play here? What if they don't play here, but instead they play c4? This is the Maroxy information, and the most combative way to play against the Khan, and isn't the most popular way. Unfortunately, it's not the most popular way for white to play. It should be, because it's, the most combative, and the one that gives you the most chances, and stuff like that. What to do against the Maroxy bind is you will need to develop your knight like this. Now, if you're saying, if they push the pawn, well, you've got this cheap little thing and you win the pawn. So, that's not going to happen. Instead, they're going to defend it like this. You will bring your queen out. And now, well, it is literally the exact same setup, but there will be a couple of differences. They will just bring their bishop. You will go d6. They will bring the other bishop. You will go bishop b7. Or knight bd7 here, it is the exact same sequence. They can go f4 in this position, but sometimes they just bring their queen out first. Then you just go here, and castles, and in this case you can go castles yourself, but I recommend starting with move b6 first. Now f4 is likely, but again, there's no threats, because, now they might do something like this. In this case, one of the moves in the Maroxy variation, is to bring the rooks to the party with a move like rook c8. This not only unpins your bishop through, x-ray, but also brings the rook to the active c-file. And in this case, this pawn can be defended like this. However, the engine already finds counterplay. Let's say you don't have that. You can just castle in this position. Or you don't even, have this move in general. If they haven't played bishop f3, you cannot plant your knight there. But have that move in your mind to play on a middle game if bishop f3 happens. I'm only explaining you the setup, so you know what to play. Rook c1. Again, knight moves recommended because you're attacking a thing 3 times, and it is quite literally undefendable. You need to slide your queen. Again, if you don't have that knight move, go here, and this is what you have achieved. They will try. They will play snakes and ladders with their bishop if they follow Grandmaster Prep theory. If they don't, then they just play normal stuff. Then you will just continue what I show you. Pay attention. So, a move that I played here in a lot of my games is Queen B8. Queen B8 has 1 point, and it is to reroute the queen to A8, or even just let the bishop come on C7. That is the whole point. For example, they bring their rook here. You will go bishop D8. In this case, they've got the central pawn break, but let's say they don't have that at the moment, and they just play like rook c to d1, for example. You will go bishop c7. In fact, I'll show you games where I had bishop d8, bishop c7, so I'll show you those games. This is the setup you're going for. And this is very, very, very hard for both sides, despite the engine being like, +1, +1. And well, it's kind of hard to tell why it's +1. It's because A3 and you're expanding on the queen side. In this case, you need to find like reroutes with the knight, H4 according to the engine. Now, if you don't play H4 and you play like bishop to H4, which is the other move, and the whole point is you're trying to damage the pawn structure, you might need to go backwards here. And now H3 is recommended. Yeah, it is a lot more obscure to play the Maroxy-Bind, but if you know what to do against it, I recommend taking a look at the Leech's Grandmaster database so you know what to do, or want to revise on some little bit theory. Like I said, you need to study a little bit of the Maroxy-Bind so you're ready to play the con. Just a little bit, just to know like the moves, what to do. Generally, it's sort of the same setup, like I said, with knight bd7, knight f6, bishop b7, queen c7. This is the same. Slightly different because of, the bishop reroute and stuff. I'll show you games like that. So, now that I've shown you all 3 variations and explained you the ideas behind all of them, again, if I did not explain about the Maroxy-Bind, it is to take away space from black, and it's actually preferred by engines to play c4. Yeah, so it's time to look at some example games, and yeah, we're gonna call it here. So for the first one, we have the Open Sicilian. We have the Knight C3 variation. This is one of the Liga games on the finals. I decided to include this one because it had a good amount of setup moves to show you how to play it. So again, Queen C7. This is the starter and the most recognizable move of the Open Sicilian. Bishop E2, D6, Knight F6. Now it's Scheveningen classical. The reason why this is Scheveningen here, it is because of, I didn't play knight bd7 first, I played knight f6 first. However, if you think about it, it's the exact same thing. You don't have to worry about transposing. It is the exact same thing, like this. Look, it is, yes, yeah, it's literally the exact same thing, like I've showed you. Again, if the bishop is here, you can always just ask it this question. And in fact, taking is the move that is chosen, and it's not really good, because you're giving away the bishop pair for no reason. And also the e5 push is also reinforced quite a bit. Rook f3, bishop to f3. Now this is minus 1.5 because of, not right away. I find it here. This is the knight. We're not here, though, to shame our opponent for playing a blunder. We're here to just learn the setup moves of the con and what to do if they mess up. And, if they have their knight like this, with their king stuck with like that, in that situation, you can target the knight, and then you can just attack the knight, and you're gonna win it shortly after, like this. And you'll trade queens too, and yeah. And if you didn't see the Liga finals, the games, I recommend doing so. I post the Liga games for, like, not only for me, I also post them for, like, other competitors, so they, they can laugh at their own games, and I can record them. Because all the Liga games will not be remembered unless I make like a video about them. So yeah. Anyway, let's go see some other con examples. Okay, so this is the second game that I'm going to be showing you. That's also a Liga game. Surprise. Anyway, you all might remember this game. This is the the first Flinty game that I played. Oh, I'm sorry about that. The phone just flipped over on its own. Anyway, so we have this is a transposition. You're in the in the ready, you can transpose to Sicilian defense in the open one, which, if you like it, play it. Takes A6, you have the Maroxy bind. I'm only gonna show you the opening because this game is 100 moves, and I'm not capping, it's 101 moves, and I lost that game because I blundered in the end game. Anyway, we're not gonna talk about that. Watch the leak game, bozo. So we have Knight of 6 is one of the moves. Again, this is not possible because of the queen check and you win the pawn. Queen C7, B6 here immediately. I decided to switch it up a little bit. You can switch it up yourself if you want to. It is not bad. In fact, I think it is. Yeah, it is one of the top moves of the computer. So yeah, you can actually switch it up if you want. I do recommend starting out with D6 first though. We have this, attacking the weak pawn. F3 is very common on the Maroxibine. I forgot to show it to you. You're just defending the pawn, and you're aiding in protection of the king. D6, and Bishop E7, and A3. A3 is one of the moves to like prevent stuff on the queen side, and also prepare stuff on the queen side. Who would have guessed? And castles, and here, and here. And this is, this is a miss, but it's still technically like I'm still in setup mode if you think about it. The reason why F4 was bad is because of this. If you remember what I told you, and I forgot about it on my own literal opening, if they mess up in the opening, you need to punish them with a move like Knight C5 here. You're attacking the bishop pair. You're attacking this undefended pawn, and you can defend it, I think, like this? Yeah, then you lose the bishop pair. Yeah, that's why you need to act differently. In this case, you can attack both bishops at the same time, which hurts even more, to be fair. Because now I have to decide which bishop to save, and actually going to lose both bishops here. Yes, and then probably a pawn. That's brutal. I don't know why I didn't see that. Anyway, that was the opening. I will show you one more, and I'll show you a couple more, so you understand the whole point of the setup, and we're gonna call it a day. Alright, for the final game, I'm not gonna show you the other one, because it's the exact same, like, copy, like I told you. The bishop d3, or bishop e3 variation, I forgot the move over there, it is literally can transpose to the knight variation, and in fact, it transposed to the knight variation, so I'm not gonna show you the same thing. We have what to do against total BS, like knight of 3 here. Okay. Your setup remains the same. Queen c7, d6, knight of 6, knight bd7. Keep in mind this is like a blitz game, so BS is expected on blitz games when you're playing a Sicilian. So don't be surprised if you don't go according to theory on a 3-minute game. Anyway, castles, bishop e7, e5. e5 I played it because it was a blitz game. I was a little like this, so whatever. Castles, and b5 here on the moves. And I trade the knight, because why not? In fact, in this position, I'm actually winning. I'm better, and because I'm attacking a lot of things and planting my stuff here. Free pawn, I'm not going to blame it. And attacking the queen one more time. This is just a small little tactical sequence. It's an in-between move, and then this, and I do double my pawn structure. However, what I'm achieving is probably an attack. He does not take the free pawn, which is a surprise. I'm threatening mate. He's covering it. I'm doing a rook lift. Then I'm doubling up. Takes. Here. And now this is a free pawn. Attacks like this and gets made in one. So like I told you, if you see BS on a Sicilian game, don't be surprised. It is a 3-minute game, and not many people remember the theory. However, there are cases where 3-minute games can actually have a lot of theory moves in a Sicilian. So, that's it for the Open Sicilian. That was the first video of the series. And the next one will be on the closed Sicilian. And slightly more irritating than the Open, because you're more prepped for the Open than the closed. However, do not fret. I will be there to guide you to that too. Yeah, I'll be seeing you guys very soon. See y'all.